We'll call this July 13th regular scheduled meeting of Boyle County Fiscal Court into order. And we'll start off with today with an invocation by Magistrate John K. Wood.
May we come together in prayer. We come together today with new opportunities. The terrible COVID appears to be coming to an end. So many have been touched and hurt over the last year and a half. Hopefully it is coming to an end and more normal life can finally begin. We thank you as you guide us through this, and your guiding hand is bringing us to a more normal life. May we have learned how fragile life is and how each day is an opportunity to do good things for each other. As a court, give us wisdom, love, hope, and understanding to perform our duties to the very best of our abilities. May we remember that we represent all and not just a few. Be with those suffering in life both inwardly and outwardly. May they feel our love and know that we all care. They are not forgotten. Be with our brave men and women who defend and protect our great nation. They sacrifice each day so we may enjoy our freedoms of life. May Old Glory wave proudly. We are thankful for your many blessings. May we always know that you are at our side in the peaks and valleys of life. Your message of forgiveness is the path for all. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Amen. All right, if you'll stand and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Well, we have two sets of minutes there, the regular schedule, 22 July, and the special call, 29 July, for consideration.
I move we approve both sets of minutes.
A second.
A motion made to approve both sets of minutes made by Magistrate Gay and seconded by Magistrate Sammons. Changes, comments, observations? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, and that motion carries. Thank you. All right, next, we need to approve some bills, and there's Miss Mariah right on schedule.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so our standing orders total this morning is $638,620.20. Our bills to be paid total at $565,970.91.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Motion to approve the bill to be paid by Magistrate Salmon and seconded by Magistrate Short. Any questions? All those in favor signify like sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Mariah.
Thank you, Brian.
All right. Budget transfers.
No budget transfers.
Okay. How about cash transfers? None?
No cash transfers.
Okay.
We like that.
Like that. We'll start in the consent calendar. I would like to recommend a reappointment of Miss Kathy Miles to the Human Rights Commission.
Second.
And the motion to reappoint was made by Magistrate Ellison, seconded by Magistrate K. Wood. Any questions, comments, or discussions on the recommendation, on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you for that. Next, Steve Hunter. Well,
If you want to really wait till after the whole meeting.
I thought maybe we were talking when it got to that agenda item.
well, we can talk.
But I appreciate that. Works for me.
Well, you can say fewer words now than when we come to
No,
discuss
that's
it.
not possible.
I'll just add.
So yeah, let me hand this out. So I appreciate that, Judge. I thought it was going to be a little later, but this will work out just fine. Got some handouts for you guys real quick. So I apologize for missing the last meeting. I had a conflict, and that's why Judge put me back on for today. I don't know if I have enough. I'll get you one after.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, sir.
All right. I'll give you one in a second. So again, I apologize for missing the last meeting. The reason I'm here, and I'll walk you through these pictures real quick, is several of you guys have given me some code complaints over the last year or two, or maybe even 3, and some of these complaints you're going to recognize in various districts, like Ronnie's given me a couple here recently, and they're not really zoning issues. They've been what I'll call more property maintenance issues, or just general nuisance issues. So a while back, we talked about how we could address some of these junk car structure issues, trailers, campers, some other problems we've got in the county, and it was talked about that we could do a property maintenance option. And I think you guys, maybe rightfully so, have kind of already got past all that discussion, because that's a pretty cumbersome document to look at. It's got a lot of stuff in it, and Angie's already drafted a nuisance ordinance that I think covers, 90% of what we're talking about. But the reason I wanted to bring this up and kind of change what I was going to say last time is I think you guys are on to doing something in a civil fine approach for nuisances, but there's some structural issues I think the county ought to consider, and I want to walk you through a few of these complaints and explain why they'd slip through the cracks the way the ordinance is drafted now. So I'll just tell you what these are, and we'll walk through. These are ones I've either had sent to me or citizens have been calling. Or
This is over the last 3-year period, is that
pretty
correct?
much, yeah. There's just a handful. This first structure you see is on Clifton Road, and I think that's in Jason's district. Jason sent me a lot. These are typically things that neighbors have called about and said, hey, this is a problem, what do we do about it? And we say, well, not sure, it's not a P&Z issue, it's not a Rusty Cox issue, I don't know. The county doesn't really have an ordinance right now to address things. This is an older house, it's kind of open and windows broke, door opened. It's on the left if you go out Clifton Road. If you go out Clifton, you see a lot of stuff with campers and RVs and stuff sitting there, some abandoned. Not sure what you do about something like that, but it's clearly a structure that's open to there, unsafe, whatnot. The next one's a perfect example of what I think we need to address. This is a trailer, also on Clifton Road. It's abandoned, windows broke, trees growing up through it, and then that's kind of just a junked out pontoon boat sitting behind it. It's mowed, but this is something the neighbors have called on several times, and we go, well, that's not really a P&Z issue, tall grass, junk boat.
And the current first reading of the ordinance does address that.
That would catch junk boats.
And that,
In the trailer.
and the trailer.
Yeah, the trailer's tricky because there's trailers that people junk, or they move and they break and then they're junk and they're more like just a pile of metal, then they're scrapping them out. There's others that are just sitting there abandoned like this that are open that need to be addressed, either told they have to move them or junk them or something. Third picture is on, Jason, you have to help me, that's in your district. That's on Kemper, right?
Kemper and Goggin.
Kemper and Goggin. Had calls on this. This is an interesting one. Those boats are, maybe they work, maybe they don't, but there's an RV sitting there that's been sitting there a long time, flat wheels, kind of junked up. They mow around it, they weed eat around it, but they sit in the yard and the neighbors call. So they're mowing, and so again, that's probably going to be caught with the new ordinance as far as I think junk vehicles. Now I don't know if that catches boats and RVs and other things, but I'd assume if you have a junk vehicle ordinance or junk cars that you could catch these boats that are sitting there. And then the next page is one we keep getting complaints on. The next 2 pictures. These are junk cars that you're going to be able to catch, but this is a property across from North Point, Catacorner, in Jason's district, where there's probably 6 or 8 junk cars. You can see a couch sitting in the front yard. There were campers on this property, RVs on this property. You can't even see the junk campers that are back behind the trailers. There's 2 trailers on this property that people are living in, but there's a ton of cars, trash, and I think some campers, some kind of pop-up campers that have been grown up in the weeds. This is the kind of thing we're getting calls on.
Turned into a little mini RV park.
Might be your number 1 complaint, maybe. I don't know if it is or not, but it's definitely one people have called about. This next one's in Ronnie's district, and the next 2, 3 in fact, Ronnie gave me a few on Stewart's Lane. This first picture, that trailer again is just there. There's been a house attached to it. Not sure what we do about a structure of that nature. The second page is just a house and junk and four-wheelers and trash and stuff in the trees, and I mean, it's just a junked up property. The neighbors have called, I can't tell you how many times across the road.
Two on Stewart's Lane is being addressed.
And that one's probably gonna be caught by your ordinance.
Where's this located?
Stuart,
Stewart's
Stewart's
Lane.
Lane.
that, both of these on the same property.
The next one is probably the,
It's been addressed.
yeah, the next one's probably the biggest problem in this packet we've got that I see right now. So this is a trailer that's in rough shape, and what happened was it's in such bad shape, I don't know if the power got disconnected, but the floor is gone in the structure. So the gentleman brought this old camper in next door, behind it, and moved his renters into the camper, and then we got a call about an illegal camper, and that is a zoning violation to live in an RV. You can see the water's coming out of this tank, because there was a garden hose that was going through the window of the camper. So we went out and told them they can't live in the camper, and the property owner's like, well, I'll put them back in the trailer. Yet it's boarded up, no power, no water. Now that's a junk trailer. If you drive by, you'd say, hey, it just looks rough. Should we address that? But that's exactly a situation there that we don't have a resolution for.
Stewart's Lane.
And the property owners across the street are pretty frustrated with everyone in general, because it's just sitting there, and we just keep telling them it's, you know, we're handling the RV. We got the people out of the RV, but
Where's this at? Stewart's Lane.
last time I went out there, people were sleeping in the truck.
Now, this is probably a good point based on some discussions that we've had recently on the RV aspect. You can take care of that on planning and zoning.
But I'm moving them out of the RV, but not physically moving the RV. That's right. I moved the bodies out, but you can't live in an RV.
Can't live in an RV.
But they can still have the junk RV sitting there.
But the point that I think is important to this transition is the fact that you can do that with an RV, but there's no civil penalty. You're
100%.
doing,
Yep.
whereas
That's
on
right.
a additional right to the ordinance before the second reading, you include RVs as a
That'd be great.
civil penalty.
Judge is right. Planning and zoning's penalties are, we're civil in the city, because the city has a code enforcement ordinance and gone civil, but in the county, we're criminal penalties, $25 to $100. Under KRS 100-991. Get a criminal summons and go to district court and get on the docket, which puts a low priority on the zoning case. So we really don't have much of a penalty out in the county.
Have you read this?
Yeah, sure.
You signed off on it?
I'm fine with it. I just think we need to add maybe buildings and what the judge is saying. So, next one, I'll go down through real quick. This is a neighbor called about a boat. That's across from Parksville Cemetery out there. It's not for sale, it's just missing a wheel. Sitting in the grass, they mow it. That one just sits in the yard, and people ask me why he can't move it, and again, I don't know. It's just, next one's on Mitchellsburg Road. I can't tell how many calls I've had on this since I've been here. I think it's in your district, Tom. I don't know what that was. I guess that was a house back in the day. It's sitting on the left side of the road. If you're going from north to south, if you're coming from the south, it'd be on the right.
Now, let me be clear, Angie and Steve, on this point. Our ordinance would not particularly address this, but if we have a additional right to unsafe structures and building, it could catch this. It would
100%.
catch this.
We need to catch that.
Need to catch
Well, it would
that.
also catch that earlier trailer that you were.
The other trailer, yeah. Next two, I'll go quick, or just, this is more just neighbors called, a building that's, according to the judge's point, this really is not unsafe or unfit, this is just unsightly. And I don't think this is a violation, but the neighbors have called and said it's got broken windows, and
Where's it located, Steve?
it's,
Actually moving into Parksville, isn't it?
that's on Lebanon Road, coming around the corner, coming back from the dollar store back towards town. And then this next one is one we've had a problem with, and I'll finish up here. This is what's left over of a trailer on Parksville Cross Pike Road. That's the frame, and I think we've been working on that. If you turn the next picture, these are the emails I got back in 2000. This is what happened on this one, I'll just explain. They had a trailer, and they moved this trailer in with no permit. And so I went out there, and me and Rusty went out there because they moved in with no permit. And what they did on the next picture, this was what they were living in. It got moved off to the side, and when they moved it, it broke. It buckled. So he said, well, I can't move it, but I'll get it gone. And so it's been now a year and a half, well, longer than that. This was
Well,
August.
since it
Yeah.
exploded.
So, yeah, he started scrapping it out piece by piece, and now what's left is a frame. And he said he needs a torch and some way to get it out. And of course, I've just got tons of calls. you've got calls, Angie's got calls, Rusty, not sure, but we'll catch this with the new ordinance clearly, because all that's left is a trailer frame at this point. Next one's odd, it's on Hogue Hollow, and I forget whose district that'd be. That's yours?
Ronnie's.
Oh, that's yours? This is one, oh, go
On that
ahead.
previous one, and I think this would be a catch-all for everything, where that is, I call it an exploded trailer. If he can't pay, do we hire a welder to tear it up? Do we put a lien on the property?
Yeah, I don't know, according to your ordinance, you guys aren't taking those next steps. I mean, I don't think the goal is that the county's gonna go up there and torch up a frame, but I guess city side, they wouldn't, and they would do a remedy where they mow the grass or tow the car off or whatnot, then they file liens. That's taking kind of an aggressive step. Typically, you just cite, maybe file a lien for the citation if it's unpaid. Probably sometimes do go out and clean up the mess or the junk or tow off the car if it's a junk car, and then file liens for those abatement costs. But
Like you
that's,
say, it's a year and a half, and 6 months ago, it just literally fell
he's
apart.
working on it. I mean, it's just been slow, and he's been sincere. He literally has made progress every single month we go out there.
Does he own the lot
Yeah,
itself?
yeah.
He does own the lot.
Insulation was in the trees for a while, and he was just taking it out piece by piece. And this last one on Hogue Hollow is weird. This is got a complaint about RV park out there. Of course, the owner says it's not true. He's not doing it. But first picture's hard to see, but there's an electric transfer box that was put in at the road. And the second one, a second electric transfer box put on further back in the property when I walked back there. And then there's 50 amp plugs and 30 amp plugs. And then when you look at this next two pictures, there was an RV there that day. I've gone out since and seen as many as 6 or 7 RVs out there. Yeah, he says he's not running an RV park, but he put underground electric, plugs,
Sewage?
septic, his health department gave him back there in the woods. You have to kind of sneak on up in there a little
I
bit.
don't know your property line.
So that's a zoning violation, 100%. Goes back to the judge's point. We really don't have a good penalty for this, but that is a zoning. I just wanted to show you that was in my list of stuff here.
You're gonna get a few on Yates Road from me too.
Yeah, well, there you go. So my only real issue with the ordinance, again, I think what you guys got is pretty much what we need. I just hope we don't leave out structures and maybe the RVs that the judge mentioned, trailers, campers, junk boats, whatever we have to do, and I'll get you guys. So this is some language out of the property maintenance code. Had the county gone that way, and I just think it's just want to show you some safe structures unfit for human occupancy, dangerous or structures of that nature. You know, to be able to have that included in the ordinance, I think would probably catch a lot of these. Now, who would do that, and how we would do that?
I need a point of clarity for my sake. You can help me on this.
Sure.
What you shared with me yesterday when we visited was section 108.
And Judge, good point, 111. So yesterday I shared with you, and you made a copy of the 2018
Okay.
page.
This is a more recent,
This is the 2021.
okay.
So the property maintenance code is updated every 3 years. Looks like this. International Property Maintenance Code. It's kind of a broader book on a lot of different stuff, but it has some general language about junk and trash and nuisances, rat harborage, whatever, broken windows. The county's got a better ordinance, in my opinion, because you made it simpler and easier to deal with nuisances. But what it lacks maybe is these kind of terms.
And that's where I want to ask, and this is getting a little ahead to Angie's
That's what I
point
was
later
thinking.
on,
Sure.
but I want these two to work together.
100%.
To bring the language on the RV and this unsafe language into the ordinance before a second reading. So my recommendation at this point, gentlemen, if it's okay with you, it's under Angie's bullet, but is to table a second reading of that ordinance and allow them to enhance the language that addresses these issues that we've been seeing today.
I'll make that motion. Second.
Who made the motion? Okay. Made by Magistrate Cullen and seconded by Magistrate Short. All those, any discussion?
Yeah,
Gay,
Jamie had a question.
Jamie?
you second?
No, he seconded.
Oh, did he? I'm sorry.
Well, actually, go ahead and do that, and my question was actually back to appoint Magistrate Ellis. We can go ahead and do the table thing, I don't have.
Okay, the motion is to table it for further enhancements on language. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
I guess my question or comment related to what Magistrate Ellis was bringing up is if people can't afford or don't have the resources to remedy the situation, I think that's a real issue because I'm afraid that a lot of these situations are that case.
Exactly.
And there's no way for them to, I mean, we can civil fine them for years.
Sure.
And they can't do anything about that either.
Yeah.
And so what is the remedy is the big question in this situation.
Yeah.
And also finding some of these properties, it may be challenging to find who even owns the property.
So,
where it's
good point. So
situated.
yesterday we sent out 3 notices of violation. One about a pool that wasn't fenced. We have a safety issue. Something about a camper, and I can't think of the third off the top of my head. But we send notices of violation as the first step. That's built into your ordinance now. So we work with property owners like the guy on the trailer, like, hey, what's it gonna take to get it out of here? The goal is not for us to have to write a citation or do a criminal summons. We work with them. Sometimes we take longer than neighbors like us. We're trying to get them to do it themselves, and we're kind of telling them the threat of a citation is always there. So I would say we get 90% of our code enforcement done with just that notice, talking with the neighbors. But we're not having any trouble finding who owns stuff. We use the PBA, and city can run plates for us and all that kind of stuff. So we on city side, we use their process. On county side, we're more on our own. So we can find out who owns the property or who's residing on the property, utility records, water. You know, that's usually how you figure out who's living there if it's a renter. And then we send a notice to the property owner and the renter, and then we try to get compliance. When I get called about junk cars, it's really not a zoning violation, so I don't have anything, for example. But if we have something, there's a way to get the citation in their hand. The goal is not to cite them, but to get corrective action on their own. So it's the threat of the citation, the threat of a lien, and then maybe even the threat of corrective action with a bigger lien. But you'd be surprised how much we'll get done with just the ordinance and just going out knocking on doors and telling someone to take care of the junk car.
Are there any grants or anything available to help people? You know, I know it's private property and things.
Not if it's just junk cars sitting there, no.
You're not gonna get nothing,
Yeah.
fixing anything.
But sympathetic to,
But now, you know, we do have the grass ordinance already where we will go mow, and then I send them a bill.
Bill?
sympathetic
I mean,
to
essentially-
what Magistrate Kay is saying here, we have to take into context that, as Magistrate Sammons pointed out, this land is owned by someone.
Sure.
That is a very, in this case, and in many other cases, you could probably go through and find at least half of these, it's owned by someone, and that absentee owner, not in this case, is going to perk up and get something done. Or even sympathetic to a person without means, he or she owns that property, and at least all the neighbors are going to see a cleanup commissioned and paid for by the county. And if and when that property ever changes hands, that poorer person will still get compensation for the sale of the land, and we will get our money back. It could be 10 years down the road, but at least all the neighbors are gonna be satisfied.
I would think so, and I agree with that, and that's where, I guess my point is, I do think we need to have a remedy with liens attached.
Yeah, ultimately, it'll be at least the citation that's issued, you'll have that. The ordinance allows you to issue civil citations, and I guess the county could, in an extreme situation, let's say someone had 50 junk cars out there, tow them off and charge them the bill and then file the lien.
But I think what these guys are saying is that we, in this ordinance, we need to build in that if the county
Wants to take remedial action or,
needs to take action, that we are able to
Have the
bill or put a lien on, kind of like
Exactly.
we do through tall grass.
If that needs a motion, I'll make it.
well, before we go there, going to Ronnie's district, that camper trailer situation, that's a perfect example where dealing with the renters, we got nowhere. When we called the property owner, he was like, what'd I do wrong? You know, he thought he's improved the situation by bringing that camper in. He literally is trying to do the right thing, so we've been working with him. But in his mind, doing the right thing, well, I'll get him out of his camper and put him back in the trailer. Really, he's gonna spend more money trying to get the floor back in the trailer and get the utilities. He'd be better off to just figure something out, but we gotta let him make that decision, Tom. You know, if he wants to try to fix the structure, we can't stop that. So he is working with us, it's just been slow and it's been frustrating
But
to the
that's where we
neighbors.
need 111.1 right now.
And then we
We
because-
go in and say, this isn't possible on this one, exactly. And then the judge and I talked yesterday, and he thinks the best way we might handle that is, a combination between a fire official is about the only one that can condemn a structure.
Health,
department,
fire.
if we have septic, and then
Rusty
or
and
me, Angie,
yeah.
whatever. We'd all go out together and deal with this collectively. If we
I like the collaborative agreement of all potential inspection aspects.
Yeah.
Well, that's
One
everything I had.
One other thing that you and I have discussed in the past, but it's not in here, and I thought we were gonna sweep it with the maintenance code, signs.
Well, we catch signs with the zoning ordinance.
Okay,
Like the ones
so.
those are already down, but
so-
signs are,
Okay, so, but people that continue to put up signs,
I just go get them and we don't cite them because, again, a $25 criminal citation.
so, but that's what I'm leading to. If we can do it to a civil fine,
If zoning was civil, that'd be great, but that'd be way more complicated than the ordinance you have here. We'd have to amend the zoning ordinance to put civil fines into the zoning.
I don't think I'm quite ready to go down that path.
Yeah, and
Well,
it's so broad,
Alright.
it'd be a little tricky to get the zoning ordinance to that place. Now, we're civil fines on city side, so we can write a ticket on any zoning violation on the city.
What Mr. Hunter just alluded to, in my district, and actually,
The temporary
since
signs.
it was on the way, I pulled them down off telephone poles after I talked to Mr. Hunter.
We do 'em
And
every week.
I had a truckload of them, because they were advertising signs, and they absolutely were inappropriate. I took a picture, excuse me, sent them to Mr. Hunter, alerted the sheriff's office, and
We
pulled them down.
pull those down all the time.
well, so, the roundabout, 2168.
I need to go up there now. I
Is
heard.
that city or county?
That's a state right of way, and we make a run up there. I didn't go last week, but I heard the car wash put,
I already got them.
yeah, well, I usually once a week.
I left
don't-
the flags. The flags were nice, nice.
Well,
addition.
nothing should be in the right of way. The zoning ordinance says no signs are allowed in the right of way without permission of the controlling
I'd
jurisdiction.
like to figure
So,
something out about that.
we just make a run every Friday and pick up 50 or 60 of them every week.
How about yard sale signs?
We get yard sale, we get them all.
That sits out there in the road, and you
I-
live 2 miles away.
Well, you guys tell me where that, I don't make this run out in the county as much as we just run through all the main corridors in the city. We get about 50 a week. We have to impound them technically, so we put them back by the dumpster at City Hall for 30 days, and if they don't claim them, most of them are real estate signs.
Yeah.
So just tell me where they're at and I'll go get them, so.
All right, cool.
Well, Judge, appreciate it. That's why I wasn't here last time, and this actually worked out better, because you guys are already further down the road with the other ordinance, and we don't need to do the property maintenance. I feel just some tweaks to the other one will maybe get us where we need to be.
So we'll amend before the second reading of the other ordinance.
They're gonna
They're
add
gonna
some
get
additional
together.
language that everybody get a look
Excellent.
at before the next court session, for the second reading.
Right.
And we're gonna talk more about that when Angie comes up, right?
Yeah. All right, thank
Thank
you.
you, Steve.
Um,
Good job, Steve.
George is not here. We got a hard and fast bill at 9:30 or what?
That's just, what I was saying, would wait to do the Zoom at that point, so do you want me to watch it now, or do you wanna wait?
He said 9:30.
Is he gonna be on the Zoom?
Yes.
Okay.
I understand.
Let's just go ahead and do that. This is on the Constitution Square cell demo. It's pretty impressive, I think.
It may take a minute. Apparently they are not there.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, good. The 9:31.
It's all right, we
It's
prepped. Okay,
Yep.
now that you kick it all off, George.
How do you pronounce your last name?
Ashheim, Ashheim.
Nice time. Okay. Like it's spelled.
Okay, we're on, George. Can you see us?
I can see you. How's the fiscal court this morning?
Well, we're all here and present, and anxious to hear your brief but effective presentation on the demo.
Okay. Well, I'm going to start it, and I want to introduce you to Dave Ashheim, who's the founder and CEO of this company called Guide by Cell. And Judge, I think you've seen the demo that they did before, a recorded version. And this morning, Dave's just going to kind of show you the customer experience, not the back end or administrative side, and answer any questions. But very briefly, you know, how we got started with this was just for Constitution Square and how to do the historic interpretation of the cabin. And then we kind of figured out that this is something that can be parlayed countywide. Perryville can use this, downtown Danville can use it for their location, the African American Historical Society, this other historical society, Boyle Landmark Trust, but all these historic sites can be put as a stop on here. I'm not gonna take any more time. I'm gonna go on mute and I'm gonna turn it over to Dave.
All right.
All right, great, and hello, everybody, good morning.
Morning, Dave.
We'll make this 5 or 10 minutes, even though since I started the company, I could talk for days. I'll give you the abbreviated elevator story as to why this is really such a great service. I'll share my screen, and we'll dive in. And thanks, Judge, for watching that presentation. That's pretty good.
I'm impressed, Dave. I'm impressed.
All right, well, let's see if that continues in the next 10 minutes. So I came up with this concept about 12 years ago, where I had been running some tech companies, and I was sold them, and I was in Spain at a museum waiting in line to rent an audio guide, and I said, this is just so ridiculous, I gotta wait in line to rent one of these devices. Why can't I just turn a cell phone into an audio guide? And my wife encouragingly said, please don't do that. And I said, no. So fast forward, we're the largest in the world that does this. We provide really 2 solutions. George mentioned them. The one on the left is an audio guide. You dial a number, you press a key, you instantly hear audio. Something you can do at home, you can do while you're on site. It's all audio related. And then on the right, we have something we call smartphone tours. It's to emulate an app, but there's no download, there's no hassle. Anybody of any age can access this content. It's a little more geared to younger people, 40 and younger. I can say that since I'm 65. Audio guides a little more towards an older crowd, but those are the 2 services that we came up with when I was starting this company. When you think about who's using these things, it's everything from a little museum. This was our first museum, the Bruce Museum in Connecticut, to giant gardens like New York Botanical Garden and Central Park. Libraries are using this. I'll show you a sign of Fairmount Park Conservancy. That reminds me a little bit of what George was talking about with you guys. Medicine Hat's a historical city in Canada. They put signs all over. Sometimes they're little tiny signs, sometimes they're big signs. Getting people to say, oh, there's something interesting here. Take my phone, do something, and instantly I've got some content. The classic way this is displayed is on a little stanchion with the sign, but it could be a brochure in a restaurant window. It could be a little QR code on an existing sign. So it doesn't have to be big. This organization, Fairmount Park, they're in Philadelphia, it's a historic landmark trust, probably similar to Boyle. And they'll have a sign like this that'll say, want to learn about this house? And instead of having 10 signs, they'll have 1 sign. And if I dial this number, I'll dial this number for you all. Let's see if I can put it on speaker, and maybe you can hear it.
Thank you for calling the Fairmount Park Conservancy's audio guide. Do you have a story about this place or somewhere else in Fairmount Park? We'd love to hear from you. Press £0 your story.
So I'm going to press 401 pound. So here's...
Site manager and curator of the Wood Prevention. Here are 5 fascinating facts about this.
So they talk about some facts. I could press different keys. They learn about different things. Or I might want to tell my own story. So I'm going to press 0 pound.
Thanks for sharing your perspective on the park. Please take your time recording a message about a specific site or Fairmount Park in general.
Anyway, So that's the first service that we came up with probably 12 years ago, and it's still one of the most popular services we have. So easy to do. Anybody can record a clip on their phone and it can be uploaded, or you can just dial a number and record. We have cities like San Angelo in Texas that they probably have 50 murals around town. They have little tiny signs by the murals where you can dial a number or scan a QR code to learn about it. And they also put it on their website, and so you can dial that number and press 1 pound, 2 pound, 3 pound, and whenever they get more murals or they have more time, they'll record more things. Our reporting dashboard allows you folks, George or whoever, to log in and see how many stops have been hit, what time of day they were hit, how many minutes they were listened to, so you can look at it from an ROI perspective as well as what are people really interested in. But I bring this up just because it doesn't have to be just something that people stumble on when they're standing in front of something. All of your organizations can promote this on their website. So that's what people do on the audio guide side. On the smartphone tour, if you want to reach out to a little bit of a younger audience, and if you have images, if you have some videos, if you want to play scavenger hunts, all of that can be done using our smartphone tour. And I will scan this QR code just to show you. When I do, it pops up with a way for me to just tap that. And I end up on the Naples Botanical Garden mobile site. And if I want to take a little tour, here's the little menu. They didn't make it fancy. They could have made it really fancy with icons. They didn't. And here's a little getting started. And they have a little map of where all the little stops are. And here's a little audio clip. And just some facts. They could have put videos here. They could have put a scavenger hunt. They could have done anything. And if I am walking around town and I see stop 113, I just press 113. And here's a little picture of what I'm looking at. There's probably a little photo gallery you can see, because you probably have all kinds of images of what that building used to look like. And here's just some text. All this is controlled by our dashboard. We built it so that nobody has to know anything technical, because we know that people in the museum world are historians more than they are techies. And so those are the two basic services. This audio guide, a smartphone tour, promote it any way you want to promote it, big or small, banners or QR codes, or do it on a website. We've got a great dashboard. You know, remember, we've got 3,500, 4,000 museums, historical sites, walking tours. They all use this same little dashboard of how to create all this stuff. And I think, kind of in summary, since we're almost out of time, people buy this because they have a tremendous amount of stories that they want to tell people. And most people are pretty lazy. They are not going to go to Wikipedia. They're not going to try to Google what happened on this corner, or what was that building all about. But if there's something that's really easy for me to get to, I'll do it, and I will get involved. I'll learn a little bit. Maybe I can tell my own story. Sometimes organizations want to use this to raise money. We work with organizations like the Air Force Academy Foundation. They have a way that you can text in after a tour to donate. So they're using this as kind of a hook to get a donation. I saw that you have plaques on your website, George. You could do this to buy a plaque. Anything that you want to do, people can do on their phone if it's made really, really easy to do. So, with that as my 7-minute summary, how about some questions?
Gentlemen, questions?
Yes, sir. First of all, I'm very familiar with Williamsburg, Winston-Salem, and other areas. So one component would be the visitor goes in and sees what's already recorded, correct?
Yeah.
The second component would be, and we had an example of this 3 or 4 years ago at Constitution Square, where people came in from all over the country, and one of the gentlemen has 12 Revolutionary War relatives, so he is a fount of information. If he were to either come back or from upstate New York record things, how would I know as a visitor to even look for what he had on there? Because it's dynamite information that he's got.
That's right. In fact, a lot of our military museum clients, they love that aspect because, you know, these old guys and gals come in, they have a million stories and they want to tell those stories. The way that a visitor would know that that's possible is they would hear that when they first dial in. Hey, don't forget to press 0 pound. You, the administrator, can set an alert that if somebody records something, you can get an email with the link to listen to it. So it automatically shows up. We also built something cool, I don't think we told George about this, that let's say you did record something really interesting. If you want to put that back in the tour, all you've got to do is press accept. And now that'll play at the end of the stop for that item. So maybe it's a historical house.
Okay, so I'm a visitor and I didn't have time to listen to all that, but I was intrigued with the first 2 minutes, and I go back home to Spokane, Washington. I can go back to it from home?
Yeah, and in fact, on that San Angelo murals, about 80% of their hits come from all over the world. When they posted this on their website, their hits went from like 100 a day to something like 300 a day.
Tremendous.
For the same reason that people are looking at, they're finding it somehow by Googling or something, and then on their website it'll say, do you have any histories or stories to tell? Dial this number, and you can give us your story, or you can listen to stories.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
No, I think it looks fantastic.
What's the cost?
There is.
There's always someone in the room.
George, do you have
I'm
a
prepared for someone like you.
Yeah.
Okay. This is our cost. We have a $500 setup fee. The audio guide is $1,250 a year. The smartphone tour takes us a lot more time to build. It's $3,000. So the first year is $4,750, and then in the future it's $1,250 and $3,000.
I've got a follow-up then on that. We have Forkley, tremendously historic. We have the battlefield at Perryville, equally or more so the Gettysburg of the West. And then we have, of course, what George has brought to you, our Constitution Square. Is that cost each component, or is there any way that's shared?
Normally it is, but George convinced Emily, our sales lady, that it wouldn't be. So it's as much
Thank you, George.
as you want. It's unlimited amount of content. You could have every historical
site in the county
have this information in it.
I think that's good money.
Good.
That's
Great.
huge.
That would be good.
Bill, what's the name of the site that you've been talking to us about?
Civic Plus.
Civic Plus. Can that be incorporated into Civic Plus? And
yes, I would imagine very easily. If it can be incorporated into a website, it should be a fairly easy
to incorporate into the Civic Plus.
Yes.
that would be a great advantage.
I think so too.
It gets the message out there, which is what we're trying to do.
Really easy.
Okay.
Looks great. Looks
Dave,
great.
does anybody else have any questions? Dave, excellent presentation. Like George will tell you, I sat through it once before with Emily, who is presented it very effectively. And I think this is something that this court would be interested in providing, because I see that as an opportunity to tell a story across this county that will actually increase tourism traffic because of its availability to the public.
I suppose your wife finds it acceptable now?
She doesn't seem to complain anymore.
What's the amount of time
Much more
you,
supportive, but it took 12 years for her to turn.
what's the amount of time, you signed for 1 year or 3-year deal?
Signed
or
for 1 year, yeah.
1 year, and you cancel that if they don't see improvement or see that it's helping, right?
Yeah, it's just a year-to-year contract, yeah.
Yeah, 1 year contract,
So it's
and
gonna
then at
cost
the end
us
of the year,
$47.50,
renew if you want to renew.
and then 4250 after
We're looking for, do we need a motion to move on this?
1250 after
Should
that.
we talk to tourism?
Who
I think
does-
I think we do. This is an appropriation that we would make to support Constitution Square and be okay, Birthplace of Kentucky
make that
Committee.
Second.
Now, let's get back with the cost. It's
$750 first year.
for the first year.
That's
Yeah.
total cost.
After that, it's 1,250, right?
No, it's 4250
4250.
4250.
to do the smartphone and the audio guides. They're
Yeah.
separate.
So you don't pay this ever again.
Pay the 4250 every year.
4250 every year.
Yeah. You go year to year, so you can get a gauge on your.
Well, I'd like for a straight one
return on
year.
investment.
That sounds expensive, but
Oh,
maybe
not
it's
for
worth it.
3 sites or more.
I think it's an investment in what we're trying to do to build tourism here
I
in
do
our
too.
area.
I agree, I think it is.
I do
good.
too.
I think it's a good
And-
investment in that.
And we might want to think about doing something like Shakertown. You know, why would you not incorporate and everybody gains from, who does the voice? How do you do with the production?
It used to be 10 years ago, you would hire that out. Now that's a negative. People want local voices. So it could be every one of you could be recording your favorite spot.
My motion will stipulate that
This is
Phil does
Judge
not get in
Dave.
there.
I'm the whatever in town. You're standing in front of my favorite museum, my favorite tree. It doesn't matter.
So you save
So-
that cost.
You can get people. You can get high school history classes involved. George could do that. You don't want them to sound super professional. You want them to sound from the voice of a
Excited.
citizen, for example. That's what you want.
Mike recommended Charlie Perry.
Herschel McKinley.
Herschel McKinley, yeah.
Charlie's voice is
Rick Dees.
Robert
He's
Wagner.
talking about local people. He's talking about people that don't sound professional, and you guys are talking about professionals. That's why I think I'd be great at it.
Record a message.
Right, George?
Because of you don't sound professional.
Actually, George.
Ronnie, you seem to have some concern about the cost of the 4250
Yeah, I
after year
both
one.
did, yes.
Well, if we're looking at the first year, I mean, it's a contract you don't have to renew the next year.
That's right.
No, there's no option. There's no renewal built in. You can renew if you want to, but at the
Okay,
end of the year.
That's why I'm saying it's year to year.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So if we find out after the first year it's not benefiting us, we cannot do it.
I'd sure like to give it more than a year of trial and tribulation or
We've
whatever.
got a lot of work to do in 1 year. I mean, let's get through the first year, but I think we have a lot of work on ourselves to do to make Constitution Square a little bit more than what it is right now. So, I
But we can
think
incorporate Portland and the battlefield.
Oh, yeah,
right,
absolutely.
exactly. And I think this is fantastic. I was at Biltmore not too long ago, and their system is antiquated, kind of like, you know, when you were mentioning your thought process for how this started, it reminded me of Biltmore, which, you know, cost me almost $200 to get in, you know, and so, but it attracts people from all over. So I think this is a good investment in tourism and in economic development, so.
I have one question, if
Yeah.
I may. How long does it take to build the product, and then does the year start after the product's built, or does it start when we sign the contract?
Good question.
It starts when you sign it, but the day you sign it, we schedule with whoever you want to learn, trainings. You have unlimited amount of trainings. We don't have any limit on customer support. To get started on the audio guide, within the first day of training, someone like George could easily record a 2-minute spot on something that he's familiar with. You could put a sign up that day and that's ready to go. The smartphone tour might take a few days for you to get some content. We teach you how to use the tools. We'll support you as much as you need, unlimited questions answered. But we built the tools that are drag and drop so that anytime you want to, you know, let's say the judge walks in and goes, you know, we really ought to have a little stop for that. Within an hour, you can have that built.
So a hypothetical, we're 3.5 months into it, we find out that this gentleman from upstate New York will send us a script because he is so passionate about Constitution Square and his relatives who founded that. We could just midstream anytime
Totally
add to it.
Add it, yep. And that's, in fact, that's what I recommend. The average visitor does not want a tour. They say they do, but they really don't, because they're so distracted. And they go over there, then they go over here, and my wife's over here. So it's all ad hoc. Well, knowing that, then don't spend 3 weeks building a tour. Build 2 or 3 or 4 things and get those up. Then go look at stats to see how well it's doing. So and then email that guy and say, hey, we're putting together an audio tour. Do you want to be part of it? Heck, we'll teach him, and you could give him like numbers 500 to 600, and he could record 500 to 600. They're not live yet. Until you make them live, you can listen to them and go, oh my gosh, this is unbelievable. So.
Call the question.
Okay, there's one last thing. Is this built, Dave, would this be a fairly easy transition to take the app, the smartphone and the audio guides and put it on to have increased accessibility from the public's point of view? Is that a very time-consuming transition?
No, it's easy, and we've done that for a lot of government organizations. We've done that with Cheyenne, Wyoming's Visitor Bureau, and plenty of others. So we can help you do that.
Okay.
Okay. Who's gonna take care of doing this task of getting all this information?
Bill. Our birthplace committee.
Yeah.
Bill, you gonna do all this?
Sure, I'll be a part of it.
Okay,
It's not something I can do by myself, but I will be more than happy to head it up and deal with who I have to deal with.
Yeah, you've got to find somebody who's gonna do this.
That's what.
Or not, do you think that'll draw 'em?
Sorry?
It does.
I think it would be a great idea to put farmers market on.
Farmers Market's done fantastic.
All right, we got Miss Trille waiting. We'll jump Kari and go to Miss Trille because she's waiting.
She's not next.
Kari, you're next. Come on, listen. Be quick. Sorry. Okay.
Good morning, how is
Good morning.
everyone?
Wait a minute, we didn't vote on that.
I'll make
Did
this
we
easy
vote?
on you.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
We did. Okay.
Okay, I am here today to talk about the Kentucky Department of Agriculture Spay and Neuter Grant. This grant supports low-income residents in the county by providing low or no-cost spay and neuter surgery for their pets. Thanks to your previous partnership, in the last 2 years, we've spayed and neutered 147 cats and 91 dogs. In particular, is 238 owned pets in total. Again, this year, the state is providing $2,500, and the funds that you've budgeted to match that will bring us to a total of $5,000, which means we'll be able to spay and neuter probably 110 to 120 more animals. And again, let me emphasize that these are for low-income residents who may not otherwise be able to spay and neuter their pets. So it's important that we continue the work. Once the funds are secured, y'all don't have to do anything. Happy Paws will perform the surgeries. I'll take care of the grant administration and all the reporting functions. And that's pretty much it.
Well, the one point that I would like to be clear upon is this is not an opportunity that the Humane Society has been sitting on for a long time. This was recently received. That's the way the state DOA, Department of Agriculture, KDA, does things sometimes. And it's not like she's been sitting on it for a couple of months and now bringing it to us, and the deadline is day after tomorrow. Okay?
Right, thank you.
Okay, so we had that last time, but this has provided a tremendous service throughout our county residents for the last several years, and we've participated graciously in the past, and I hope that the court can see the value of that for our animal population.
I'll make
Well,
a motion to approve the $2,500 grant.
You look at the number, go ahead. I mean,
Okay,
you
motion
second
was made by
before
Magistrate Gaten, second by Ellis, to approve the $2,500 grant.
You look at the one I was trying to make, which Ronnie and I are on that committee, we probably should have set the motion in a second, but that's fine. You look at you should have given us a number of kittens that saved. You know, if one cat, it's not taken care of, we'll have
We've
over
got
the
that.
lifetime.
I actually,
we'll
I
have
believe,
270,000 kittens.
it's,
It's on here somewhere.
it's incredible.
Yeah, I seen that. Yeah,
Yes,
before
it's
I forget
incredible.
that, Tom.
So yes, in
Same
6
thing
years,
about a dog, you know.
yep, in 6 years, one female dog and her unaltered offspring can produce 67,000 puppies.
Think of that. The cat, 270, isn't it?
370, yes, it's astonishing. So we're saving a lot of lives and helping a lot of folks who have pets that they care very much about. So it's a great program.
In seeking the grant, I noticed that James does not yet have, and I pulled up the KRS that's mentioned here, when and how can he get that training so that that becomes part of the grant filing rather than being a no on the back?
I communicated with Michael Grant, who is the grant administrator for the Department of Agriculture, and he was not concerned at all. It's
Okay,
something
good.
that can be done at
I
any
didn't want that
time.
to be an impediment.
Nope, it is not. He said go ahead and submit, and we have, been
James,
faithful.
it is, James, go catch him.
But he has to be
Right.
certified.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in progress.
Great,
We are
thank
good to
you.
go.
That was my only concern.
Excellent.
Okay, any other?
Question.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries. Thank you, Kari.
Oh, that's wonderful. Have a great day, you all. Bye-bye.
You too.
Thank you.
All right, sit Miss Trille in, please. Morning, Trille.
Hey, morning,
New York.
ladies and gents. How y'all day?
How are you?
Good. I'm here to present the second quarter county clerk's report, and it's just for your all's acknowledgement. Unless there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Make the motion, we acknowledge.
Second it.
We don't
Motion
need a
made
motion.
to acknowledge receipt of the clerk's quarterly report by Magistrate Cullen and seconded by Magistrate Short. Discussions? It's an acknowledgement. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Trille.
Quick and painless.
Yes, ma'am.
She came all the way in here. I'm gonna give her a motion.
I said it's Love notes.
Trille,
That's
you
love
know
notes.
everything about the county. We
That
want
is
you
vanity
involved
plate
in
for
this
his
last
vet.
thing that we approved.
I didn't, I wish I had
Oh, I wish
come
I
in
could
before you
called you
started
in,
so I could
yeah.
hear it, but I was watching on
We need her voice on there.
YouTube, but
Yeah,
I'll
that'd
go
be
back
good.
and watch it.
That'd be good.
Yeah. Go back. Thank you all. Have a good
Thank
day.
you, Trille.
All right.
She all right?
Mike, it looks like you're up next.
Thanks, Judge. Fiscal Court. First thing I have on the agenda today is to surplus an old washer and dryer that we have.
Make that motion.
Second.
Motion made by Magistrate Cullen and seconded by Magistrate Gay to surplus a old washer and dryer that they have at the EMS. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign.
One quick question on that,
Okay.
Judge. Is it workable?
They do work, yeah.
Why don't you donate it to Helping Hands? We're always looking for stuff like that. Instead of surplusing it.
Well, they got surplus at first in order to be able to donate it. so-
You have to surplus it technically
Okay.
in order to
Okay.
then dispose of it another way.
Okay. Go ahead.
Did we already vote?
We,
Got a vote.
All right, we're good.
Done been voted and passed.
Yep.
no, did we vote?
Yeah.
I don't think we did.
I don't think we did either.
Did we?
They're giving you
I
a
don't
hard
think we
time,
did.
Judge. We did not vote.
Well, y'all are too efficient for me. Sometimes they quit.
We got a yay, but no nays.
Okay.
They love to make motions, Judge. You figured that out yet?
Do you want to make a motion to offer it, since it's now considered surplus, to Helping Hands as a donation?
Bill?
I'll make that motion.
I don't think I should be involved.
No.
I mean,
Oh, okay.
Motion made by Magistrate Gay to offer surplus, said washer and dryer, and Magistrate Kaywood seconded that motion to offer it to Helping Hands as a donation. Any discussion?
Call the question.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. That's
Thank
where
you
we'll
all.
go.
That's appreciated.
Next agenda item is to ask for permission to bid 2 ambulances.
Make that motion.
Second.
Oh, boy, you guys are getting quick. Motion made by Magic Cullen, seconded by Magic. Who won the buzzer over here? Your short did? Okay.
He's hard to beat on.
Can't beat 'em.
Okay, is there any discussion on this?
Yes,
This
I
was-
have a question.
Okay,
I don't ever remember us bidding on to it one time.
We didn't buy one last year. So we currently have an ambulance right now that has, we heard in the committee report, that has 175,000 miles on it that's falling apart.
Well, and that really hitting our budget pretty hard to buy two at one time.
We already
It's already budgeted
budget
for.
budget
We
season.
budgeted last year for that one.
Yeah.
Now, this
Why
year-
didn't we
No,
buy it?
this year
It's
for
in
two.
this year's budget.
Budget for two.
Yeah.
The previous treasurer didn't want us to buy it, so we,
Why didn't we?
well, because
It was a
we were running
COVID
out of
year,
money.
and I was
We didn't
told
know
no.
how COVID's receipts would come in and.
Okay.
Plus, it's gonna take over a year to get these in, ain't it?
Yes, sir.
Does it take a year?
It probably, yeah.
That's what I heard.
Especially
It could-
now.
Yeah, it could be, hoping not, but
Everybody's spending money.
Is this one we have in service now?
Was it?
But
We've only sent that to
the
your
budget
registry.
is there for two this year.
But, Phil, there's a lot of
Need to go ahead and
people
order
getting
this.
ambulances.
Well, I know that, but I just don't like the idea of us buying two in 1 year.
yeah.
I thought
We
used
skipped
to-
a year and our plan is to do one a year.
Master,
Yeah.
Master Samuels, you're right. We would always do, we would buy two, and then skip a year, two, so buy it 2 years, and then skip a year, and then buy it 2 more years, and skip a year. Last year, we were put off because we just didn't buy one.
Well,
So now we're a
sometime-
year behind, so now we're gonna have to buy two.
Some time ago, we bought one, skipped a year and bought one.
Yeah. That's been 3 years now.
Okay.
Committee
It's-
talked
it's
about
already
this
in the
morning,
budget
highly
to buy
recommends
two,
it's in the
so.
budget.
Well,
Call for question.
Maybe I'm a little different. Because it's in the budget, don't mean we have to spend that money, but go ahead.
No, if you got some questions, ask them. This is what it's about.
It's,
But
I'm
this
just-
is a committee
I'm
recommendation.
just concerned about buying two at one time, that's the
Yeah.
only thing I have.
I'm concerned too. We should have bought one last year, but we
Yeah.
can't.
How many
can't
are
go
in
back.
service now?
We have 6 ambulances. Three are in service every day.
Okay,
A lot of
now,
miles.
we get these two in, Mike,
Yes, sir.
what will we do? We'll wait a year? Or we request one maybe next year because it's gonna be a year before we get it in?
Yeah.
Am I correct?
Well, let's see how, when we get the bids in, we'll be able to answer that question a little bit better, I think. Because it all depends on exactly, what's in the bid to how long it takes, so. So I think once we get the bids in, we can talk to the.
The earliest
to the-
hopeful possible, what we've been told, is 6 months.
Yeah.
Well, your bids, will they request the time that they're gonna be in service?
We can request it, but they're.
About when?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna
And
ask.
the one that's gonna be here,
Yeah,
if it's 6 months
right. Some vendors
prior
are,
to
yeah,
the other
yeah.
one, then that's where I'd probably lean my vote toward.
Yes, sir, I agree with that. I agree with that.
Okay.
Some
No question
vendors,
I
some
have.
vendors are slower than others about getting ambulances in.
Okay, is there any other questions, comments? All those in favor of the approval for permission to bid for 2 ambulances, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries. All right, next.
The next item is to consider a full-time hire for paramedic Ben McAnly.
I'll make that motion.
I'd like to make it effective today, and the rate would be $19.32 is our rate. on
Okay,
12-hour
motion made by
shifts.
Magistrate Salmon, second by Magistrate Kaywood, and this is a committee recommendation, as I understand it,
It
gentlemen?
is, yeah.
Okay,
If
Is
the,
he a
go ahead.
ex-employee?
Yeah, he's coming back, yeah.
Okay. He's a good guy, I know.
He's right here.
right here, yep.
Where's Ben? Hadn't seen him
If,
forever.
if the court would also indulge me, we interviewed, James Zanoli last night. He's here next to Ben. He will put us at full staff on the 12-hour shift. So also like to hire him full-time at, let's see, effective immediately at, I'm trying to think what the new rate is. Yep, $16, yep.
Is this a paramedic?
He's an EMT.
EMT, okay.
You need that motion as well? Yes. I'll make that motion.
Let's get the name, restate the name again.
James Zanoli.
How you spell it?
How you spell it, James?
Zanoli.
Zanoli. Where you from?
It's like a cannoli. Keeping them local.
The Italian district.
His is effective today, right, Mike?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, this gives you the current full complement of positions on the 12-hour shift?
Yep.
Okay.
Mike's promised us he won't ask for anything more for a year.
I had to laugh at that one.
Yeah.
He's always got the biggest list on there.
Okay, is there no further discussion on, does the motions have to be separate on the personnel because there's two people? It can be one acceptance for both the paramedic and the EMT? All right. One motion, that's our understanding, court. All right, and that was made by Sammons and seconded by Magistrate K. Wood. Any further discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mike.
Judge, can I, add a little humor to this about Ben?
Sure.
I knew Ben's grandfather, and Ben's grandfather liked to fish, was a friend, a dear friend of mine, was like a dad to me when I first came here. Believe it or not, I was young. Ben's grandpa smoked Black Peter cigars. At that time, it was about a quarter apiece. Well, he's in the insurance business. And he called on this family, and they had a picket fence. And as he started in, this is a true story. He just lit this cigar up. And as he started in, I don't take my cigar in, so he laid it on the fence post. Okay? He goes in, makes his presentation, and he couldn't make the sale. He comes back out and starts down the highway. He gets about a mile, and he says, "Oh, I forgot my cigar." He turned around to go back and get his cigar. The guy sitting on the front porch smoking his cigar.
Climax just wasn't there.
How's the 12 hours working?
Well, I was going to bring that up. So last Friday, a new pay period, we transitioned to a 12-hour shift. And for the first couple of weeks, we've been a couple of spots short. We've been filling with part-time. But I think in the next 2 weeks, we should work all that out with the new hires. I've been staying. I'll come in late a couple of days just so I can stay in and see the night shift. And it just seems like it's a different environment. People are a lot happier. You know, we've been making 20 plus runs a day, and I know the shift a day shift the other day made 16 runs in 12 hours. So I think that their attitudes are a lot different to know that there is light at the end of the tunnel when all these runs are coming out. So the crews have all been great, stepping up. One of the goals was to decrease our response time from the time we get the call to about when we can get bedside or whatever the situation is, and I think that's really improved. People getting them faster. It's just a different environment. It's been a really positive change. We've seen a lot of in the leadership academy that I'm doing through the state. One of the things was about employee engagement. I really think that this has really helped with everything we've done this year to engage all of our employees and just really all around just really good attitudes, and very thankful for the opportunities that you all are giving them. So,
Mike, what were you saying earlier about in our committee meeting about how many runs percentage-wise are you doing it here in Danville versus the whole county?
Yeah, so it's difficult to track it just because you may make a run to Junction City and they still have a Danville address. So anecdotally, we're still trying to figure out a way to do that, but around 80 to 85% is inside the bypass in the city. So that's the good majority of where our runs are being made.
Well, you're making the rest of them in Perryville. I go that ambulance going down every day.
Lots of accidents.
Yeah. I can further demonstrate that point by we have a geospatial demand map that I can share with you, and it shows, it's a heat map, and it shows the city of Danville really high, the next really bright as far as the run numbers, and then the next area would be Junction City, and then Perryville, and then from that there's dots all over the map that show a single run. So that's where most of our run volume is right now.
Did you ever get that bathroom taken care of for the ladies?
Not yet, but it's on the agenda.
Okay. All right.
All right. Renew the contract MCS. Tell us about that, Mike.
Yep. It's just with our medical compliance services, and it's our Medicare compliance that we've been working with. It's just a renewal of the contract. It's in the budget. It's $9,500 a year. What they do is they come in and they audit our runs to see if we're complying with Medicare and Medicaid compliance, and it's been a really valuable service.
No increase in cost, and you're satisfied with their
Contract is the same.
I looked
their
at it.
provisions.
I mean, it's
Yeah, it's
I
the same.
reviewed it
as it's
every
been.
year. I mean,
Okay, motion made.
Yep.
Okay, by Magistrate Cullen, seconded by Magistrate Short to accept the compliance consulting service agreement. Allow me to sign for its renewal. Any questions, comments, or discussions on the contract? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, and motion carries. Thank you.
I also brought James Crawford with me. He's one of our paramedics today, just to try to, introduce our employees.
Good, nice to see you, James.
Come
Appreciate
along.
your service. Thank you.
He's been working on some projects for me, so he's been a real big help. So, but thank you all. That's all.
And you're full staff with paramedics right now with Ben coming on.
Yep, I talked about it in the committee meeting this morning. It's quite the task. I'm telling you, I can't tell you how many hours after hours I spent working on trying to recruit people to come. The EMS provider shortage is as bad as it's ever been. So we've talked about it for years, and it's here. So
Well, Mike, you're doing a good job. That's why we're paying you the big bucks.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
You've got a good staff.
Yes, we
Congrats,
do.
John.
Yeah, we do.
We really
Yep. Thank you.
appreciate having you guys.
All right, thank you guys.
He's got a good committee.
I think that
One of
should've
the best
been
he's ever had.
changed. I think that should have been changed.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Dwayne, looks like you're up next.
I can't
Hey,
be
man.
everywhere, Phil.
All right, I only have one item, and that's a bid item that you all approved us advertising for in a previous meeting. And so I think you all received copies of the two bids. We did have 3 inquiries about our bid for a boom mower.
We didn't expect it to be that high, or we want
Well, we budgeted 190, so we're just under budget, thank goodness. But anyway, we received 2 bids. Only the third inquiry did not choose to bid, I guess. But anyway, 2 bids. One from AppMax Equipment Company for $185,220, and the other one from CMI Equipment, which has been around and worked in our state for quite a few years. You all probably encountered them at KCO meetings and at judge and magistrate meetings. Their bid was $219,995. As I said, we did budget $190,000, and so this bid does come in under our budget amount. And I think you all saw a brochure of this piece of equipment a few weeks ago too, but that's the piece of equipment we're looking at. And
That's out of Florida, right?
this particular
Yes.
company makes their equipment in Florida. The piece of equipment that CMI bid is made in Texas.
Dwayne, what
So-
size,
I move we accept the bid from AdMax.
Dwayne, what's the, what your questions now, Judge, right?
I would prefer after a motion has been made and seconded by Magistrate Gay and seconded by Magistrate Short. Now we can discuss him after.
Cullen.
And who?
Cullen.
Oh, Cullen, would you made the motion or?
I seconded it. I beat
You
him.
seconded it. You beat him. Okay. It was made by Magistrate Gay and seconded by Magistrate Cullen.
Ronnie had a text. That's why I
Oh,
called him.
yeah.
Well, you're making a motion to buy the
AdMax.
AdMax. The
Yes.
only thing Dwayne said that, CMI had been around longer and we've done business with them before, is that correct?
We have talked with them on numerous occasions.
You haven't done
They-
business with them?
They represent Alamo. The last tractor and mower we bought, the mower is an Alamo mower, and so CMI is the representative for Alamo.
Give you good service?
So far, yes.
Okay, next question, if you don't mind, Judge.
No?
What's the length of that, long arm? Which
It's
one
20
you getting?
22 feet.
22 feet.
The
It's
short-
huge
the
compared
shortest.
to the previous one.
It is, but it's the shortest one that they make, the shortest one the other company makes too.
And what size is that bush hog? 5 foot?
5 foot.
And you'd be happy with that?
We have seen that. We've actually operated it, and yes.
Can I add to that a little bit? I did not actually see it, but in looking at it and hearing the presentations before and talking to the staff out that works for Duane, it has a lower center of gravity, specially built and designed for its sole purpose. It's not a farm tractor with an add-on piece of equipment, okay? Not that there's anything wrong with that, but this was built and designed from the ground up to do what it does. I like the cab view on this, because if you're looking 360, 180 degree out, you look right down your right shoulder and you're looking at that boom. And it's not an articulated or an uncomfortable position as opposed to something that Duane and I noticed on the other piece of equipment. What I like about it is the safety features, the low center of gravity, and the tracking capability designed solely for the purpose of doing what it's doing.
Dwayne, this, we've never owned one of these before.
Not
Just,
like this
just this particular type of equipment, have we?
That's correct. Although the tractor,
you've
the
owned
tractor and boom mower we had before was pretty much designated for that. We never used it for
That's
anything
right.
else.
Okay. But that was about,
I've been driving it
Oh,
from
big back
wherever
tire.
they're at, so.
Other questions? All those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Judge, important question before we leave Duane. In addition to the letter that Magistrate Cullen and I sent about grass on the road, there's been another one from a citizen at large. I was pleased to see it. This was sitting in our parking lot out, and I think it was a county vehicle. What is that? Because it looks like a blower.
That's a blower. It follows our long arm when we go out and we trim trees and tree limbs. That follows that mower.
So if you got a call on grass, we could get
We
this out
could
there?
if we had a, yeah. If
I
we-
didn't know we had this.
We'd have to make a special trip. Yes, we have one.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And we, like I said, we predominantly follow the tree.
I don't know
tree
if,
trim
no,
route.
I don't wanna make it the county's responsibility to clean up people's grass.
No,
so.
no, no.
In an emergency is all I'm saying. Because I've seen trails of grass.
We might have to
a
do it for
lane
the
wide
state, but not
300
for,
yards.
not for private citizens.
I don't think they got enough work to do all that.
Yeah.
They'd be,
I mean,
yeah.
I appreciate the safety concern aspect, but it's not our responsibility. It's the person blowing the grass.
Well, we actually had talked about buying one or two of these until we found out how expensive.
They're expensive.
They are,
That,
so.
that unit now runs between $8,500 and $10,000.
Yeah, no thanks. No need to wear it out. People that can easily blow it back in with $50.
another question. What? Permitted, Judge?
Yes, sir.
I've had a couple of calls on the brush growing up along the highways, like 150, for example. And I've had, the question is that the state had inmates. I know it's not our concern, but this state roads I'm talking about,
Yes.
like 150.
Yes.
Do you know anything about whether the state's gonna have the inmates back out to cut this brush
I,
again?
eventually they will, as soon as North Point comes
Yeah,
out from under
I talked to
lockdown.
I talked to the warden yesterday, and they have not released them to go out yet. And they don't have a date when they will be released to go out, inmates, and do
Right.
that.
Right.
Because I asked him on some other issues, and they said, we've not been given the green light to send them out at all yet. Well, I don't know. I'd have to ask the Department of Correction Commissioner. I haven't called them on that, so I don't know.
Just wonder, is it COVID, I wonder, or what?
It has been,
believe
it has
it is.
been. I mean, they
I
put them
believe
under
it is.
lockdown when it all
Yeah.
started. And mainly because they had an outbreak in the prison, so they had to try to
Yeah.
control that. I
Thank
mean, they're
you.
really not around any public when they're out like that, but still.
Okay.
It should, my personal opinion, that decision should have already been made, but it hadn't, so.
Okay. That answered my question. Thank you,
But it's
sir.
probably timely to ask, because everybody's beginning to get back in the office now.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
things like that. So, good time. One other
Can you
thing,
find
one
out?
other request I have, the second page of this, there was a quick attachment, what's it called? Yeah, quick disconnect, attachment. I did not spec that. It was an oversight on my part in the equipment. We're still within budget or under budget. I would request if we could add that,
That's that $2,500.
right, that $2,500, that we could add that to our purchase.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, motion made to include the optional upgrade to a quick disconnect system for the AdMax, as made by Magistrate Gay and seconded by Magistrate Short. Comments, questions?
Just a comment, when you talk to these people, tell them we're gonna spend that, providing they add that.
Yes.
piece of
Oh, yeah,
equipment.
absolutely.
Free.
And
And then they call
they're
it.
not gonna do that.
Free for $2,500.
Well, $2,500, you may get it for $1,000, let's
Yeah.
talk about it.
The,
So
I'll be glad to negotiate and see
Yeah,
if
do
he's
that,
got any
yeah.
room, but And then the other thing I did find out, it has a 1 year, common for commercial, government type purchases. It does have a 2-year warranty on the engine. I'll pursue that more with him to see what the cost is. It may not be anything we're interested in. And I found out today that the turnaround time is now 30 to 45 days.
That's great. That's great news.
What will
We were looking
the,
for 3 to 4 months.
I'm sure there has to be a line item and better than I would, but what will be the increase from what we have used to what we will have in terms of insuring that piece of equipment?
No,
I hope so.
Because we'll take the other one off the road.
You're still in good budget situation for it?
Well, you're talking about a more expensive piece of equipment compared to the other, insurance wise,
Initially.
it wouldn't go up much,
So
probably.
You're insuring a new piece of equipment versus one that's used.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'd be some cost.
Yeah. But
What's
this
in that
piece of
budget?
equipment, compared to the old piece of equipment, we're burning up.
Yep.
Think about that. Go
Right.
ahead.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Dwayne. Every
All
time
right.
you come in, seems like
There's
there's
Angie.
I guess I'm too conservative. Judge made a comment about me one time.
Good morning.
Morning.
Hi, Angie.
All right, what do you want me to do first, Judge?
Well, let's go to the recycling grant bottle perforator
Okay,
installment.
The easy two first, the easy ones first?
Yes, ma'am.
On the recycling grant, I received 2 bottle perforators, and in the agreement on that was that, first installment was 50% upon beginning, and then the second installment would be after he delivered it. So I'm requesting that, $11,500 be paid to Barron Enterprises to start. And I think we've already got our check, correct, Keegan?
Yes, ma'am. Make the motion.
Second.
Okay, the motion made
That's our
to
committee, anybody?
pay Barron Enterprises the $11,500, made by Magistrate Short, seconded by Magistrate Salmon. Questions, comments on the motion?
Committee people.
Do you have
Oh.
a question, Jamie? Oh, okay.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, Perryville Convenience Center to change their hours. Right now, they are closed on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. The rest of the time, they're open, 7 to 5. I'd like to change it to the same as Alum Springs, which would be, they'll just be closed Monday, and they'll be open Tuesday through Saturday from 9 to 5. The reason being is they are closed. I'm having problems on Saturday. It seems like everything is getting full on Saturday mornings. Therefore, if I need service from Republic, I can't get it because they are all CDL drivers, and by Saturday, they're all out of time. So I'm getting stuck with too much trash, don't have nowhere to put it, can't get it collected till Monday. So when everybody's off on Mondays and Tuesdays when he's off, it just backs everybody taking trash out there Thursday and Friday.
I'll make that motion.
Seconded.
Okay, motion made by Magistrate Cullen, seconded by Magistrate Ellis.
And I'd like to make this effective 7/30.
7:30, July 30th.
Because of the pay period,
The way it,
And
I don't
by
wanna
the way,
short
I don't
Joe
know if you
any
mentioned
pay.
Joe and all that is agreeable to
Yes,
these.
I talked to Joe,
these,
and we've already talked to Magistrate Ellis.
listen,
Yeah, Judge, I'm pleased to report that actually for a secondary reason to the delivery and taking away of the trash, primary reason for me supporting this is that I've gotten many inquiries about the day after a holiday and being closed. So I went with the blessings of both Angie and the judge to the city council meeting last Thursday night and spoke first and privately with the mayor, and he reacted very favorably to it. And then I presented to everybody and was hopeful that with the advocate there, that it would be in the article that came out probably today. It's not yet, but hopefully the advocate is listening now, because the city council was pleased that we were communicating on the front end of a change. And that's always something. There will be 1 or 2 people, I'm sure, who aren't happy with this, but we'll handle that. But the
Well,
communication.
on the holidays, when they fall on Monday,
it's closed Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
And those are the issues that I was
So I
getting.
think it's just best that we just change it.
And it's now 5 days, so.
Yeah,
rather than 4.
yeah,
Same number of hours.
same number of hours
No,
total
not
for the
same
week.
number of hours.
No.
Well, basically same during the week.
During the
Instead of 7 to 5, we're gonna be 9 to 5.
No,
So
that-
yeah,
yeah.
that's the clarification, that
Yeah.
yes.
You add another day
40-hour
on.
week, yeah.
Yeah,
You had another day to the,
yeah, and
That's
add
right,
another
yeah.
day to it, so.
And I think that's why it was so favorably received.
All right, ordinance, let's see,
We got a vote.
got a vote. All those in favor of the hour change at Perryville Convenience Center, vote, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Angie.
I'd just like to add that, and we don't talk about this very much, but to have convenience centers for this county, I think is really, really good. And people forget how important it is in their life to have these, but a lot of counties don't have them, so, thank you. Yeah. that
no,
needs-
and,
that's
a lot
part
of them have a cost, even if they do have, and we don't have, well, it's taxes nationally, but they'll say, well, my property taxes pay for it, but my gosh, it's a real,
Property taxes paying for a whole lot.
oh, yeah.
It cleans up the county too.
Cleans up. It helps, go someplace that doesn't have it.
Well, I'm telling you, if we don't have them, you would have a dump problem.
Oh, yeah, we've had that before.
I mean,
haven't we?
you'll always have a somewhat of a litter problem, but you would have dump problems.
Okay.
I know we tabled the second reading of the ordinance, but I strongly ask that you guys consider putting something in about grass on the roads. It's there all the time, so if we can figure out a way just to put something in there I'm not saying, they have to have it done in 15 minutes after, but can't just be left like this all the time, so.
We need something enforceable. I ran by about 100 yards yesterday on Perryville Road.
It's not good for the environment or the people driving on the road, so.
Evidently, this must just have it on your 2 roads.
No.
You follow the
I've
state.
never seen no grass on none of my
We
roads,
can't
bro.
control, no, we can't control it on
I
34th
haven't either.
State Road, but you follow the state tractor sometime like I did last year, and it's all over, all the way past
Okay,
the
that's a
yellow spot.
different matter with state tractor.
I'm
That's
making
not
the
your
point.
residents doing it, it's your state.
Go down
people doing it.
Goggin, you'll see.
So, you're gonna do something with your regular,
This only affects people that's doing it, so if they're not doing it, it's not a big deal. But if we catch the people that are doing it, that causes a problem. I don't want to be here dealing with somebody that's had an accident when we could have, fixed it ahead of time,
I
I don't see the big deal with trying to make something a little safer. And, we spend all this money on litter abatement and all this other crap,
Well, I've
that
been
gets
around
thrown
it.
around or whatever. So what's the harm in saying, clean up after yourself? We do it. We teach our kids all the time. Clean up after yourselves when you're done doing something.
You talking
There's
about
no
the grass?
reason.
You talking about the grass?
Yeah, grass on the roads.
Well,
There's no
I've
reason.
been around a long time, but I've never seen an accident yet, and I know it's been reported for grass.
Then I will go letter that we co-signed, and I'll show you all the accidents all across the United States.
I'm
and
not
the
talking about
deaths.
the United States,
we're
I'm
talking about
about
Boyle
our-
County.
Bowl County.
Okay. We don't want an accident that kills
haven't
or
had
maims
one.
somebody in Boyle
I would
County.
strongly encourage, I don't know if these two persons who have a lot of experience behind them can come up with something that's doable, but take a look at it. I think there needs to be a education program throughout the county on the radio. I'll do it if nobody else will do it, to talk about grass on the road.
I
It
think
can
that'd
blow
be
it off.
I think that's a good idea. When
I would
you're-
love to do it.
Yeah. thank
Because
you.
I know when I cut out there on the easement in front of my farm,
it back.
I blow it back in.
I do
It's that
too.
simple.
You'll see me mowing that bank there in front of my house. I
Yep.
blow it back in. I don't blow it on 150.
Phil and I might get him on the radio with me, and we'll just talk about that,
That'd be good.
Rather
okay?
have it out there and never use it than not have it out there and have a problem.
Thank
That's
you.
all I'm saying.
I concur.
They considered it at the state level, so obviously there is an issue out there.
All right, what else?
We're getting too much in the order. Moving right along.
Okay, we're gonna table that, you guys get together and, talk through some language on some of these issues and see what we can come up with the next meeting and reading and,
I emailed, I was like researching while I was talking. McCracken County, they've got an ordinance that was passed in 2019 regarding abatement and so forth, so I think that it might be
Grass
helpful.
abatement or
No,
in general?
In general, about the buildings and dilapidated so forth. So it might help with that. And then there's another county,
Montgomery
Madison
County
County. They just have an ordinance that says we hereby adopt the international guidelines.
Well, yeah, I don't think I wanna go down that
Don't wanna
path.
go that road.
Right. Well, I'm just saying. So I attached that as well, but
Steve and I had discussed that, and we really didn't want to go that far into it.
McCracken one's probably good though. I know the county attorney. He's like up on his fiscal court stuff. He's a good asset for me when I have questions to contact him, and he helps answer
Right.
those. So anyway,
I'll check on it.
Okay. Anything else, Angie?
I don't have anything else.
Anybody else have anything for Angie? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
For-
Angie.
Thank you for all you do, Steve. Thank you for
Thank
what
you,
you're
Angie,
doing.
for doing such a good job.
All right. Shannon,
Good morning.
good morning.
Morning, Sharon.
Comp agreements to
Sharon,
be approved?
Shannon.
We just have the one.
Yes.
I move we approve the compensatory time agreement with Misty Day.
All right, a motion made by Marcy Gay and second by Matchett Short to approve the comp time agreement as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
One question before you leave.
Okay.
Our, HR accounts that we have, the ones that don't take insurance. You told me you was gonna do a card next year? Okay. That sounds like a plan. It's gonna make
Yes.
everybody happy.
Yes. Yes.
One more question for you.
Okay.
The time clock system still going well?
It is, the clocking in and out's going well. We're having a little trouble with the accrual balances, but they're going back to the drawing board and gonna rework that for me. And we're getting ready to start the advanced scheduler. EMS and the sheriff's department can schedule their guys and when they're out and things.
Still doing time sheets as a backup, I guess.
I think this is the last week.
Okay.
It makes life a little easier for you.
It does.
doesn't it?
It does.
One other question, are we having a health fair this fall?
That's on my list to start looking at.
Okay. Thank you,
Thank you.
Shannon.
Thank you.
Next, Counselor Chris Herron.
yes. And last meeting we had a first reading of the Center College bond amendment. It was prepared by Mark Franklin. Basically, that amendment just amends to include for more security on the bonds that are issued by Center College. And since the last meeting, Mr. Franklin has actually emailed me a couple corrections that just slight revisions that was provided by his tax department from the version that you originally had, and it just mirrors the language that appears in the tax regulations that govern the amendment of tax exempt bonds. So I've reviewed everything that's been provided. I've provided it to everyone, so I am okay, and I would recommend that you approve.
The second
judge
reading?
sign- Approve the second reading and let the judge.
Make a
sign.
motion, we
Second.
approve the second reading.
Okay, motion made by Manager Sammons and
Cullen.
Manager Cullen, second.
Gay's gonna stay out of it, I guess.
You're gonna abstain from this vote.
One point of order, and I talked to our attorney yesterday. I hope in the future that we can actually have someone here from Center on something so consequential, because I got a little criticism last week or 2 weeks ago, when I made the comment that we really needed Exhibit A. If you read it, folks, it's 9 more very legal pages. And I think either we need somebody from Center here to explain it so that the burden doesn't have to be totally on our county attorney to go into all that detail. And I just think when we're looking at $33 million still in trust, we need somebody here from Center.
Well, that's partially my fault in talking with Chris on this. I will say that Counselor Franklin from Dinsmore and Stowe offered multiple times to come down and make the presentation. And he absolutely no reservation, hesitancy on his part to coming down. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, that both you and I communicated with him that wasn't necessary, but
Correct.
Chris is first of all, we gotta realize Center College in Ball County. Chris is a county attorney.
I know.
That's part of his duty.
I realize that. but we should all, when we're blindsided and see Exhibit A, and none of us except me bring up the fact that we don't have it, I'd like to have it that day, so that I would have perused it 2 weeks ago, and I wouldn't be making an issue of it today.
Well, next time that we have something like this, I'm going to counsel, and I have to refer to him, because he said, this is not out of the norm. It's not it's
I understand.
something that I can present. So we told Mr. Franklin he didn't have to drive down from Louisville for that, but,
Judge, I have a lot of confidence in our counselor.
No, that's
So,
not being questioned.
Anything about, any additional information coming in, forward it on to Magistrate Ellis. Don't give me a copy of it, but I've got my confidence in the counselor.
When it says Exhibit A and it's not in the original document, I probably wouldn't be making a case to have Center represented here, because we all would have had an opportunity 2 weeks ago, and I don't want to ask if you noticed that we didn't have it.
Tom, one other thing, we're not held responsible for a dime of this money. Only thing you're getting.
I don't look at it that way.
The only thing you're getting is.
I look at, we're
reading
fiduciaries.
material. You're getting reading material, that's all
We
you're
are
getting.
fiduciaries. I'm not just getting reading material, as you well know from all the things that I bring up. And I think that Keegan would agree with me when we're talking about a $33 million enterprise off a $39 million in the past.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor of the second reading, approving the second reading on the bond issue before Center, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries with the notation. There was one abstention, and that was Magistrate Gay.
I got one other thing real quick. Pursuant to Kentucky statute, that any excess fees I hold in my cold check collection account after June the 30th, I have to turn over in the preceding fiscal court year to the fiscal court. I did that, I've done it every year since I've been in office, but I think last year was a big one where we had about 35 or 40,000. And I think that was because it hadn't been turned over regularly. It's not like they spent it, but it just was kind of sitting there and it hadn't been turned over. So it was a big one. So I think I told everyone that, hey, don't expect this much every year. So anyway, today I turn over a check for $2,941.87 to the fiscal court for my excess fees collected as of June 30th.
That's like when I gave my grandson $10 for his birthday. He said, it's not much, but I appreciate it.
We appreciate it and thank you. $2,941.87.
Thank you, Chris.
And I'm gonna ask him to sign it, just to make sure it's legal.
You caught that, Judge.
There you
go. All right, is that it, Counselor?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Next, Keegan?
I don't have much. In your package, y'all should all have a copy of this year's budget that was approved by DLG. Other than that, just a FYI for my directors, I'll be getting out the new equipment list for them today, so just be watching your all's email. But other than that, I don't have anything. Just happy to see everyone.
All right, thank you. I think, do we have Julie, do you have a request to speak, or you want to do that?
I can do that. Yeah.
Is it okay? Didn't have it on the agenda, but the administrator would like to make a statement.
Phil will give her his time.
Okay.
Boy, it sounds so formal. At the last meeting, when we discussed the contractor licenses and the business licenses, my intention, when I merged the two programs together, the original intention was we were going to charge $50 every year for a business license. Well, the contractor program works the same way. So it made sense just to merge them all into one ordinance. And as we discussed at the last meeting, we changed so much stuff, and I think when we passed it, there were 3 intended changes that you voted on. One was to change in a date, one was to change the fees to one time, and one was unincorporated cities. What I've sort of done the math and worked with Keegan on is that by eliminating the annual contractor license that we've had forever, we're actually losing money for the county. And because when a general contractor comes in and says they're gonna do a job in Boyle County, they are required to turn over all the subs. We wouldn't know who those subs are any other way than the subs have to get a contractor license so that we can collect occupational and net profit fees. So, and they don't have a storefront, so there's no way for us to even find these people without the contractor license program. So I see it as a negative on our bottom line here, and I would like to propose that we suspend 222, rescind it, whatever, so that I can pull the contractor license out and bring you a new ordinance so that we keep that revenue coming in from the contractor license and track for net profit and payroll.
The judge, Julie and I are separate from the judge conversation, talked about this. And that is a deficiency that was awkward. We didn't really fully understand it, I guess. And with that being the case and some impacts I know that you've had in your area.
I haven't had any impacts.
Okay, we'll talk about that, but I think there was. But anyway, regardless, the impact is the very significant collection of fees that we'll miss. We're walking in the dark without that capability. So I would like to make a motion to rescind for now the document that we passed last meeting, and that we can get legal counsel to work on it.
Second that.
What's the number of the document? Is there a number?
It's ordinance 222.
Add to my motion, ordinance 222.
Okay, motion been made by Manager Elton, second by Manager Sammons. Is there any questions on the motion as to the purpose?
Is that better than amending the ordinance?
I would say, I don't think you really need to rescind it. I mean,
Counselor, what would you recommend? Rescind or amend?
Well,
because this doesn't take effect till when? October?
It hasn't.
We have to publish
It hasn't been advertised yet. We've got 30 days after passage. So, I mean, I think that since it hasn't been advertised yet, that would be okay rescinding it prior to.
Okay.
Your advice is to rescind rather than to amend the second reading.
That blocks any publication for now.
Right. Yeah, because I don't know what to publicize.
Because the public, it has to be public, it has to be advertised by the 22nd of this month to hit the 30 days.
Yeah,
So
we're on top of that.
Okay.
I would rescind it, and then like you can start all over
Yeah.
and have a first and second reading again.
I'll go to our legal counsel and agree.
Thank you.
Okay, the motion been made
Any
and
other
seconded. Is there any further discussion?
You got another funny story for us?
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
finding that, Julie.
Judge, do I have permission to take him out back in the shed wood?
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you got running.
All right. Let's see, it's time now for district reports. We'll go first district.
Thank you. First of all, I just asked a question, and I think this has happened. Keegan, I guess you would know. Did we get the check for the chipping from the city?
It wasn't, we weren't,
Yeah.
yeah. You want me to explain it?
Either one, it doesn't
Okay.
matter.
In the future, we probably need to discuss how we're gonna handle this. I went to Earl, they were cutting a check on the 30th of June directly to the chipper company. And it was just a miscommunication in City Hall, and it is.
It's been taken care of.
care of,
So,
yeah.
we didn't directly get a check.
We didn't get a
Right.
check.
Right. Yeah.
I know there was an awkward pause in there. Okay, great. The other thing that's exciting to me is we have an entrepreneur in Perryville who is going to be filing, and we may see this, according to Steve. I'm not sure that we would, or just planning and zoning. But this is a plot of 40 acres that is in the city and in the county, city of Perryville and the county, of 40 acres that would be developed ideally in 1 acre tracts, possibly with access off US 150 and also at the back of the property off of Mitchellsburg Road. And we could see 25 to 30 homes on 40 acres out there. That's a boom to everybody in this room. In terms of the revenues that would come in for housing. Housing is desperately needed. So we're gonna do everything we can to encourage that entrepreneur.
Good.
That's all I've got.
Good, positive. All right, number 2, Ronnie.
I don't have anything.
Don't have anything? Okay. Phil, don't have anything? Magister Cullen.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to make this brief. At the last planning and zoning meeting, a person that came off, I think, took a couple cheap shots at the fiscal court, and I don't really appreciate it very much. You know, I appreciate the service that our board members provide, but I believe when the people vote in elected officials, those elected officials have the right to appoint and reappoint. General Hunt, I've always found you to be an honorable man. Always make good decisions based on people that put you there, and what's best for the county. I'm sorry, we may have not, given proper notice. We're all here. Most of us are new. We're still learning, and I don't think that was done intentionally.
It was not.
I definitely know it was not done based on, party preference.
Had nothing to do with it.
No one had a clue. But I will say, somebody that's been serving on a board for 16 years, it's a good opportunity for us to allow someone else to serve, give other opportunities, other thoughts. I know that personally in my business, the old planning and zoning before Steve was here, it was hard for me to open up a second business. And that was 5 years ago. And so, I can relate to maybe new blood's always needed because, I lost out on some opportunity there to expand business here in Boyle County. So that being said, I don't appreciate the tone. I don't guess they may not care. I don't care, but I found that this court's always tried to work really well together. We have a mix of Democrats and Republicans, and I think that you've always respected everybody individually, no matter what party they're in. So it's at your discretion to make board appointments, and we all agreed on it. So that's all I have to say.
Well,
Good point.
I appreciate your comments.
Can I comment to this?
Please, sir.
You're exactly right. When we were elected, we came in this room to serve the public.
Correct.
When I go out, they don't ask me, are you a Democrat or Republican? They want to know if I'm going to take care of their problem.
Yep.
Same thing with KCO. But I'm serving with, there's 2 Democrats on the executive committee and 3 Republicans. When we come in that door, the main building, we leave our Republican and our Democrat hat outside. The judge will tell you that because he worked for KCO for quite some time. It's not discussed for your politics as a judge.
No, sir.
And he shouldn't be. And I admire the judge. I told somebody yesterday that I've never heard him tell me that he is a Republican or a Democrat. I don't care what he is, because he's treating me like a human being, and we got a real good relationship. I think we have, and I think
Oh, absolutely. I want the public that may be seeing this, I have never asked that question of a litmus test to any potential applicant for any capacity to work for the county, nor will I.
And you've never asked me to do anything that I felt was a Republican way. It's always been what's right
For the county.
for the county, and it's always gonna be that way. And I've known you a long time, but I've never seen you to do anything different from that, because
Well-
I've never heard anybody out in the county say anything about.
And
your
I guess,
disfavor.
and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. It hit me a little harder. I greatly respect those that have served this country, that have given the freedoms to this country. We have 3 here. And General Hunt has spent 34 years serving this country, going all over the world to protect our freedoms. And that's why I didn't like the cheap shot. It was inappropriate and immature. General Hunt, I've always found you to be a good, honorable man, and that's why I have a problem with this, outside the fact that I know that it was never your intention, so.
No. Well, thank you for your comments, and I appreciate both of those comments. I really do.
No,
Thank
I
you so much.
appreciate what you've done for this country and for this county, so thank you. And all of you, what you do for this county, so.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
We all gotta work together.
Yep.
And that's, we always have.
And you know what? I believe we are.
We
Oh,
have-
I know we are.
John will tell you this is one of the best courts we've ever had, ain't it, John?
Yes.
We've got a good court. This is the first time that I've served with a mixed court. We've always been just strictly Democrats. And it's one of the best courts that I've served with, and I think John agreed with me.
Every court has its own kind of personality, if you
yes.
may, and
Yes.
it's a little different now, but that's what makes this country great,
Yes, it does.
you know.
Thank you, thank you. Jamie?
I agree with all that was said and echo
You asked
and
me if I
appreciate
had
the
anything. I
comments.
didn't mean to
And,
give a
I
third
don't have
round
anything,
like
I
that.
don't have anything to add for my district.
All right, well, thank you, thank you. John?
I told you I didn't
Yeah.
have anything, then I talked for 30 minutes.
John?
A couple of things. Final budget signed, approved, and congratulations.
Yeah,
Thank you
first
for your
one.
effort.
Robert
First
signed off
one,
on it.
First one's the hardest. It'll get easier from now on. So, but
Good job. I
thank
think
you.
we're all
I
Thank
don't know
you.
if it gets easier or not.
Thank you. Judge, is our constitutional committee getting back together and been pretty active at,
Which committee?
the Constitution Committee?
The birthplace of
BOK.
Kentucky?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
They're-
Yes, sir.
they're-
Yes,
yeah,
they
it's
are.
going
Yeah.
well, cause I
Yes, sir.
know
Yeah.
COVID.
Tom and
got-
I have attended all the meetings. They didn't have one in June.
Yeah.
Or, didn't have one in July. We'll meet first of August, first Monday in August, the next one.
Jail
Great
committee.
people.
Yes,
We
sir.
did have a community type jail committee, and I forget the exact, we had a name and it leaves me, that we met, and then COVID came in and everything. Are we getting back into the jail, looking at what we're gonna do about the detention center again?
That committee, in addition to the magisterial committee on it,
Yes.
like
Kathy Miles was on it, and
that has not been reestablished
Is that gonna
yet.
be,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
think?
it will be. It will
Okay.
be.
I think having community input.
I don't think that was the name. That's what threw me off. But
Yeah,
there
it's-
there is another committee that meets with joint jail and
Right.
keeps that, and
Right.
that has not yet been reinitiated.
Okay, but you
Yes, sir.
plan is to,
Yes, sir.
to get it going again. I think we participated in the fireworks,
Yeah.
the other night,
Doing pretty good.
and they were good, and, as I understand from what I saw last night, it's the last year that the, Danville Fire Department's gonna do it. They're gonna go to a professional method next year. But Danville, who's done it for years and years, I wanna say thank you for their service. It's a high-risk thing, and I can understand why maybe the city would recommend, getting away from that risk to their employees, so,
Makes sense.
but they did a fine,
I thought
they
we
did a fine
always,
job, and I appreciate it.
I thought we always hired, Ernie Coleman to do that. Coleman, I'm sorry. He's done it for years. He didn't do it this year?
No,
It was
No.
referred to last night, what I saw was the Danville Fire Department.
that's right.
Well,
He,
Well, he's a
Ernie was not-
licensed guy to do this, and
Yeah.
he's always done a
They're
great
gonna make
job.
some changes, but anyway, the fireworks were great,
Yeah.
and I hope the public, enjoyed them.
They were
John
lined
brought
up in, I'm sorry, go ahead.
About the city, only, if I backtrack, Judge, a little bit, I noticed the paper evidently, Miss Hart, I think, I hope you're listening. I'd like to point out, Miss Hart, that this Millennium Park is still jointly owned by Boyle County Fiscal Court, Boyle County and City of Danville, not just City of Danville.
and that's important because it had to do with the, new proposal at the foot of your subdivision over there. And it left us out completely, and that will, as you told me last meeting, that will come into play at this court. So the advocate should make an addition to that article
Well,
to
it was,
identify.
we were left out totally as.
Exactly.
the City of Danville Park.
Yeah.
And it's not, we're jointly, we put a lot of money in that.
And because we border
Our taxpayers.
with Millennium Park, that new P and Z
Yeah.
proposal,
Argyle.
in Argyle Woods,
Yes.
then hopefully the advocate will make that correction.
Thank you.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Thank you.
Yeah, kind of backtrack on the fireworks. They were fantastic. I was out at my other shop on the bypass, and it's always nice to see that lot just get packed. And people were telling me it was all down the road, and it was really nice. And the Friday night, I made it down to Junction and watched their fireworks, and that was a great little experience too. And picked the right spot. I got to sit next to Mayor Douglas down there. So somehow
It should be known that during
back
the
in school.
negotiations for the price and the amount of fireworks, that the price went up 2 or 3 times in our discussions this year, and it's gonna be going up significantly each year after. So as these things do escalate in expense and cost, I'm gonna bring it to the court to make sure we're still have the same buy-in, because it almost doubled from last year to this year. If it doubles again, we start talking about some real money. I mean,
Yeah, we're talking about what we need to do it or not. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's costing us, what's it cost us this year?
it cost each of us, a little over $6,000.
It's been 5, yeah.
We got budgeted for next year $9,000.
Okay.
Just wait till they go to the noiseless fireworks, which
I'm
I
gonna-
think is
I'm
on the
gonna-
horizon.
We'll
I'm
do a
gonna
laser
think
light
about
show.
where I'll vote for that next year, not for 9,000 for our part. That's $18,000 for a 30-minute show.
That's a lot of fireworks.
That's literally blowing up your money.
Yeah.
Your money.
That's right.
I don't think 90% of our citizens would want us to do that.
Do you have anything else?
No, sir.
Match Kaywood? Okay.
A lot of people don't.
In my time, I want to remind everybody that we still have a scheduled meeting with the city to discuss EDA perspectives on Thursday at 8:30 at Holiday Inn Express. I will have to excuse myself, just a note in advance, at the hour and 45-minute mark into it, because I have another meeting here with the EMA director on some disaster mitigation issues. So I'll be there for about an hour and 45 minutes on Thursday.
What
And
time? 10 o'clock?
8:30. 8:30.
8:30.
It starts at 8:30. Okay? And then,
I haven't received any communication about this outside of just now. I mean, I kind of heard that we were going to meet at 8:30, so has anything been sent out?
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
I don't know that.
We didn't confirm everything till
We didn't
late
confirm
yesterday.
everything till
Okay,
late
right.
yesterday
Yeah, so
afternoon.
you'll
I just want to make sure I didn't
Yeah,
miss any. That's
yeah.
my
No,
big
you
thing.
have not.
I got
That's
4
me. I
emails.
thought maybe I was asleep that period of time.
wasn't sure we were gonna meet.
No, it wasn't, because we didn't get we didn't
Okay.
confirm it until yesterday afternoon. Late.
And let's, my only 2 cents on that, let's keep our eyes on the prize.
Amen.
I agree. I agree.
I think that we've got a few things we need to work out with the city, but I think the big,
Let's take our time doing it.
big prize is making sure we develop some economic achievements here for Boyle County, and
Second reading will have to be a while.
probably.
The next thing is on Friday, a water summit will take place. And as of right now, in discussions between the Parksville Water District, the City of Danville, ourselves, and Lake Village Water District for Gwen Island Road, all these potential players in Junction, and the mayor of Perryville and the mayor of Junction, or their representatives, will be at this water summit on Friday. And I believe it's at 2 p.m. in the afternoon in the basement of the City Hall, because of their audio-visual capabilities to discuss these things. And these will be a determination on how this court sees the best utilization of the ARPA funds that we have coming in, half of it this year and half of it later on. And there is one other fund that we have access to that will help with regard to the Gwen Island project in Lake Village, which is uniquely different from the state side of the house.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, again, I can't be there for that. I'm
I'm
already.
not sure I will be either.
I'm gonna be out of town, but again, my district has a couple needs, especially Lancaster.
The districts impacted by my information so far are 4th, 1st, and 2nd.
Yeah.
The other districts don't have planned water rehabilitations in their districts.
Thank you.
And infrastructure enhancement is economic development.
It is, it is. So, I don't have anything else. If it pleases the court.
Can I make one statement?
Yes, sir, go ahead.
You know, what we do Friday on this water is gonna, it's gonna stem a long way how I vote with EDA. You know, to me, if they're not willing to compromise with the counties for water, sewer, then I don't think I need to compromise with them on the EDA.
I concur with Magistrate Short on that. This is critical to our outlying areas and to an area the size of Junction.
I believe, gentlemen, that we will have an opportunity to potentially enhance the water rehabilitation of aging systems and defunct systems to increase service provisions to our residents in both Junction and Perryville and Parksville through these potentially one-time resources that we're getting from the federal and state government.
And my primary reason for supporting Magistrate Short is the impact and some balancing of the cost of water and sewer in certainly my area, and I think that Ronnie would concur.
Okay. Anything else? I would, if it pleases the court, I would like to adjourn in remembrance and memory of a former state senator of this district, Tom Buford. And Tom Buford was a person that had many years of government service in our Senate and did at one time represent this county. He does not currently represent this county, but he was a good friend of Boyle. And I would like to entertain a motion and to adjourn in honor of State Senator Tom Buford.
I'd like to make that motion. He made the motion, you got a second.
Okay, I'll make the motion, you can second. Okay.
And Judge, as of this morning's paper, the funeral arrangements are still not known, but if anybody would like to go, I probably, if I can schedule it, I'd like to go if you want to ride with me.
Okay.
I would echo
that, and Tom Buford was a good personal friend of mine, and he was a long-time supporter and advocate for our profession of athletic training, and oftentimes sponsored our bills in athletic training, and I appreciate you bringing that up.
An exceptional leader.
We had,
An excellent senator.
I told somebody, I said, if you knew Tom Buford, you had to like him. I think John and I talked about him the other day, and I reminded John about him, and John remembered him coming to and joining us for lunch up at, when we was having a meeting. Magistrates, you know, how we did the 1st of February, went to the Capitol, and Tom came down. He knew we were there, and he came down to join John and I, and I don't remember who else was there.
The rest of the court, I think,
but he, that's the last time, matter of fact, I'd seen him, and, but I thought a lot of Tom, I really did, knew him pretty well.
So, with that motion, we need to vote on the motion to adjourn in honor of Senator Tom Buford. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, the motion carries unanimously.
Are we gonna do executive session?
Yeah, we've got a new.
No, there's been some information to change, and I can explain that right now if you'd like for me to, okay? There's no need to go into executive session for the discussed property acquisition because there's additional information that we have discussed yesterday that we need to ascertain our interest in it because of reduction of definitions of floodplain and floodway. It reduced the footprint of our consideration before we discuss going into executive session to make an offer to the landholder.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, I think we need to go into executive session based on a personnel issue. I was going to piggyback on the property one.
Second that motion.
Well, okay. Now that changes things. So,
Sorry.
Counselor?
Yes. And you have to make a motion.
Make a motion to go into executive session relating to personnel.
Related to
Personnel. Hiring.
Related to hiring, yes, sir.
Okay,
So we have to have a second and then.
Jamie already seconded.
okay, motion made by Magistrate Galt, second by Magistrate Gay to go into executive session, in which time we will cut off all audio, visual communications, and excuse everybody, it's not a.
The majority's gotta vote. I mean, you got a
Yeah,
second, but you gotta
okay.
vote to go.
All right, all those in favor of the motion to go into executive session, vote, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.